We are following everybody some new reporting today on how U.S. officials have been tracking these developments. American officials knew as early as Wednesday that Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin was preparing to take military action against Russia and held briefings with members of the Biden administration during the week. I want to get right to that with NBC's Ali Rafa, who's outside the White House for us, with more on this. Walk us through this reporting and how they chose to handle these developments.
Yeah, Yasmin. Well, you played that clip of Secretary of State Antony Blinken at the top of the show saying that this was all a rising storm, that the U.S. had been monitoring this for months now, this escalating internal power struggle between Prigozhin and President Putin. But administration officials are telling us that this latest push, this latest rise in that escalation was being monitored for the last week. And that's because U.S. spy agencies were observing the Wagner Group collect more forces, more military soldiers, more military weapons, obviously concerning not just because of the U.S.'s stakes in the war between Russia and Ukraine, but also because of what potential impact a civil war could have in the country that has the world's largest nuclear arsenal. So we know that senior Biden administration officials were briefed by intelligence officials about everything that was being observed on Wednesday. That information was then relayed to congressional leadership on Capitol Hill. And so White House officials say that they were certainly aware of this, but it wasn't until Friday morning that alarm bells really started to be raised. And obviously we saw just the unraveling of that happen when we saw President Putin's speech yesterday morning and everything that has happened since. So this was something the White House had been monitoring, was certainly not a surprise. But all of that to say that what happens now is still, admittedly by the White House, still unclear, Yasmin.
Hearing specifically from folks in the administration today, Ali.
So for the president's part, it has been quiet. That is obviously by design. We know yesterday the White House had said don't expect much more to come out of this. We know he's at Camp David. He's continuing to be briefed on all the latest developments by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who is there with him at Camp David. They're expected to return here to the White House tonight. But we did hear from Secretary of State Antony Blinken this morning. He was on several Sunday shows where he talked about really what this means in the broader scheme of things. He talked about what this rebellion has done. He says that it has shown cracks in Putin's grip on power that he says was evidenced by this rebellion. And take a listen to a bit more of what he had to say about that.
This is just the latest chapter in a book of failure that Putin has written for himself and for Russia. Economically, militarily, its standing in the world, all of those things have plummeted.
Yasmin, we don't expect much more to be said from the Biden administration, at least publicly today, because the White House is saying they want to be able to closely monitor this situation and be able to closely coordinate with allies behind the scenes, Yasmin.